I want to ask you something, and I want you to notice how hard it is to answer. What do you actually want? Not what you should want, or not what would be responsible or practical to want, not what would make life easier for the people around you or fit neatly into the version of yourself you've been presenting to the world. What do you, the actual woman inside all of this, genuinely, honestly want? For your days, for your relationships, for your mornings, for the hours that are theoretically yours, for the years ahead that no one has claimed yet. If that question made you go a little blank, if something in you reached for an answer and it came back with someone else's needs instead of your own, you're exactly where I thought you might be. So, this episode is entirely for you. Welcome to The Return. Wherever you are right now, in your bed, on the couch, in a quiet room with the door closed, I want you to know that for the next few minutes, you don't have to be anyone. Not the mother, not the spouse, not the woman who holds it all together. Just you. Let's take a nice cleansing breath together. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Good. I want to share something that took me a long time to understand. Knowing what you want is a skill. And like any skill, it weakens when you don't use it. Most of us, women especially, women of our generation with particular certainty, have spent so many years in service of other people's needs that the muscle for locating our own desires got very quiet. It's not broken, it's not gone, just quiet. It's been underused and a little uncertain of itself. We became fluent in the needs of the people around us. We could read a room and sense a shift in someone's mood, anticipate a problem before it surfaced, and that's a genuine gift. It was learned in service of survival in households and relationships that required us to be always attuned to someone or something other than ourselves. But here's what happens over time. You become so fluent in everyone else's needs that your own become a foreign language. When someone asks you what you want for dinner, you genuinely don't know. When you have a free afternoon with no obligations, you feel vaguely anxious rather than delighted. When someone says, "What do you want for yourself this year?" the question feels enormously and slightly terrifying. Like being asked to answer in a language you once knew but have mostly forgotten. I was 40-something years old when I sat down and tried to answer that question honestly. What do I actually want? Not what I should want, not what would be practical or reasonable or good for everyone involved. What did I, Tammy, genuinely want for my own life? I sat with that question much longer than I expected, and what came up first, almost immediately, was guilt, which told me everything I needed to know about how long I'd been deferring the question. The guilt said, wanting things for yourself is selfish. The guilt said, other people's needs are more urgent than your desires. The guilt said, who are you to want more than what you already have? And underneath that guilt, when I got quiet enough to hear past it, was something much simpler, much more honest, and much more mine. I wanted to feel at home in my own skin. I wanted mornings that felt like mine before they felt like anyone else's. I wanted friendships where I didn't have to perform. I wanted to create things not for a purpose, not for an audience, just for the pleasure of making something. I wanted to laugh more. I wanted to stop apologizing for taking up space. Now, some of those wants were big, and some of them were small, but all of them were real. And naming them, just allowing them to exist in my consciousness without immediately dismissing them as impractical or selfish or too late, felt like uncovering something I'd buried so long ago I had forgotten it was even there. Here's what I want you to know about desire after 50. It isn't frivolous. It isn't a distraction from the more serious work of healing and becoming. It's the point of the healing. You don't do all of this work, all of this honest, difficult, courageous returning to yourself so that you can continue to not know what you want. You do it so that eventually the voice that says, what do I want, becomes clearer than the voice that says, what do they need? Your desires are data about who you are. They are not luxuries. They're the map back to yourself. And the small ones matter as much as the large ones. The want for a particular kind of morning, the want to read a certain kind of book, the want for a conversation that goes somewhere real, the want to spend a Saturday doing something that serves no purpose except that it brings you joy. Those small wants are not trivial. They're the texture of life that belongs to you. And a life that belongs to you isn't built from grand gestures. It's built from the accumulation of small, honest choices about what you let into your days. I want to give you a simple practice. This week, just once in a quiet moment, I want you to ask yourself the question without immediately answering it from someone else's perspective. What do I actually want? Let the first answer come up, and I want you to notice if it's really yours or if it's borrowed from someone else's expectations. If it's borrowed, set it aside gently and ask again. What do I actually want? Let it be small if small is what's true. Let it be surprising. Let it be something you've never said out loud. Just let it exist somewhere without immediately having to defend it or justify or make it practical. You don't have to act on it tonight. You just have to let yourself know it's there. That's the beginning. That's where the reclamation starts. You are allowed to want things, not just the noble things, the healing, the growth, the becoming, but the ordinary things, the delightful things, the things that serve no purpose except that they're yours. You've spent a long time being the woman who tends to what everyone else needs. And she's good and faithful and deserving of every honor. But she's also allowed, starting now and starting tonight, to tend to herself. What do you want? Let that question be the last thing you hold before sleep. Rest well tonight. I'll see you in the next episode.